Welcome back. Let's continue our explanation of the difference between Docker containers and images and provide more details about containers. So we saw before the difference between them, that a Docker image is like a class in object-oriented paradigm, and container is like an instance of that class, or the image is like a template, and you can create from those templates. We can create from that template the forms or shapes. These are the containers. Now, to create our own image, we'll come to that in the coming videos, but let's look at the namespaces of images on Docker. So there are three namespaces: root-like, when we downloaded the Ubuntu image, if you remember, or maybe user-defined, like when we use the Docker clock image from this account, or maybe self-hosted. Remember we mentioned before that we can have our own Docker repository or our own Docker hub, sort of, that we can use to push our Docker images to. Yeah, we'll come to that in the coming videos. In the root namespace, this is available for official images only. Yeah, they're put there by Docker incorporation, but they can be maybe authored and maintained by third parties, but they're put there by the Docker incorporation. These are the images where we don't have to specify a path, as we did for the clock one. Yeah, remember when we did Ubuntu, we didn't provide a path, so that's placed in the root namespace. These are usually for like Swiss Army knife-like images, like maybe small ones like BusyBox, or maybe for distro images like Ubuntu official images, or maybe Fedora and stuff like that, or maybe for ready-to-use components and services, like for example MySQL database or Redis or stuff like that. These ones exist usually in the root namespace. The user-defined or user namespace, rather, it holds images pushed to Docker Hub by Docker Hub users and organizations. Like for example, the clock one, the Docker Hub user is J Pet or something like that, and the image name is clock. So that tells us that this one is added by a guy who has, or a person that has, or maybe an organization that has this account. Yeah, we can create our own account and push our own images, as we will see, as we mentioned before. The self-hosted namespace. This namespace, it holds images which are not hosted on Docker Hub, but on a third-party registry. So we can have our own Docker registry where we can push our own Docker images. They contain maybe the host name or maybe IP address, and optionally the port number for the registry server. So for example, maybe localhost with port number 5000/WordPress. The remote host and port are localhost and 5000, and the image name is WordPress. So I hope that makes sense. We'll see that in action. Some historical detail: that self-hosted registries used to be called private registries. This was misleading. A self-hosted registry can be public or private. Yeah, you can actually publish your own registry. So a registry in the user namespace on Docker Hub can be public or private. So we can actually have a private sort of registry on Docker Hub. Likewise, even if we have our own Docker registry. So how do you store and maintain images? Well, they can be stored on your Docker host, or maybe in a Docker registry if we want, and then we use the Docker client. We've seen that before, to pull or download an image, or maybe upload or push images. To be more accurate, you can use the Docker client to tell a Docker server to push or pull images to and from a registry. So the client communicates with the server to do this process. Now let's get some hands-on again. Go back to our terminal, and what we can do here is we can actually list all the current images that we have in our host. All we do is Docker images, and we can see the list here, the repository, maybe tag is like a name or something like that, and the image ID, and when the image was created. So remember, not when the image was downloaded. We downloaded this several minutes ago, maybe less than 1 hour, but this is when it was created or modified on the actual Docker registry. Yeah, hope it makes sense. Docker space images gives us a list of the images that we have. And if we want to search for an image, we can do like Docker search. So Docker search, and maybe Zookeeper, and that will search on our Docker on the Docker hub that we, if we have our own Docker registry, then we can configure Docker to look on search in that registry, or by default it looks on Docker hub. Hope that makes sense. Let's stop here and continue in the